Hey everybody, it's Ray Brewer at Las Vegas Sun. Another edition of Prep Sports Now, a Las Vegas Sun sports podcast. I want to thank everybody for your patience last week. We couldn't record a show. I actually got sick, had a nasty cough. Turns out it was allergies from a trip our family took up to Utah. Feeling better. Tried to record last week. I literally just kept coughing. So I will get up to speed right now and talk all good things high school football. And boy, there's a lot on my mind. We'll start with the Class 5A Division 1. We got the matchup we thought we'd get. We knew we would get. Bishop Gorman versus Liberty at Allegiant Stadium. There's an 18-day layoff between last Friday's games where Gorman crushed Coronado, Liberty got past Shadow Ridge, 18-day layoff, and it's similar of a college football bowl environment, if you will, where maybe you want to go hard that first week so your players could keep their edge, and then maybe you pull it back a little bit. But we saw how downtime could really hurt a team last week. Sunrise Mountain had rocked and rolled through people, had a bye in the first round of playoffs, came in the second week against El Dorado, and needed a 2-point conversion to win. We saw Basic, they had a bye week, right? They stopped playing. They couldn't turn it back on, threw a lot of interceptions, lost to Green Valley. So how will Bishop Gorman, how will Liberty manage an 18-day break from the state semifinals, and that's a loose term, state, because it's right in all Las Vegas title, and the championship game on a Tuesday at Allegiant Stadium. Listen, realignment has been great. Realignment would have never been good for every school in Nevada. There's no way you could set up a bracket in a league, in a division, or whatever you want to call it, to appease every school and to make it fair for every school. And I will say it's worked. If you look at the games coming, it's worked for some schools. If you look at the games coming up this weekend, for example, you've got Canyon Springs, still got that cough. Canyon Springs, Sunrise Mountain, you don't know who's going to win, right? Palo Verde, Legacy, you don't know who's going to win. Faith Lutheran, Green Valley, maybe Faith wins 7 out of 3 times, right? So it's kind of worked in that effect to where we're here now, second week of November. We've got some pretty even games, and everybody's excited. But in the large classification, you've got Gorman and Liberty, who everybody wanted to get away from, and it's like they were put in a corner and said, nobody bother them. They've gotten too good for the rest of the state, so we're just going to let them play amongst themselves. And I'm borrowing some of my sentiments from coaches around town that I've heard from. I strongly agree with this, but not all these takes are mine. The wording isn't specifically mine. But the 18-day layoff is tough. I get it. To get to play at Allegiant Stadium, you've got to let all the other classifications finish their playoffs so all the games could be contested on one day. So I understand the layoff, but it just goes to show you that the realignment wasn't perfect, especially for the large schools. Nobody wanted to play Gorman and Liberty. You guys go in the corner. You guys play each other. We'll give you a state championship, even though it's a city championship at the end of the year. We know no matter who are the other 5 teams we put against you, none of them are going to beat you, and you guys will just end up playing when it's all said and done. Liberty in 19, you beat Gorman, maybe you could beat them again. So it kind of sucks that like the top level, and sucks is a strong word, I know, and I know this is a kid's show as well, but the top level of high school football has no Northern Nevada opponent. And the funny thing for me is Northern Nevada, year after year, would flood the NIAA with complaints or Gorman's up there beating DeMonte Ranch or Reed or whomever for a state championship, and all the Northern Nevada people are yelling into the press box at the NIAA that private schools shouldn't play against us Northern Nevadans. We're too small and we need to go down. And they rang that drum and they rang that drum and they finally got their wish, right? All of Reno is gonna go down a level. They get rid of Big Bad Gorman and Big Bad Liberty, even though Reno schools twice had beaten Liberty. But it's okay. We don't see that. And we got what we want, right? Our best team is going to play Vegas's second-tier best team, and it's going to be an even playing field. Hooray, hooray. And guess what happens? The best team in Northern Nevada is Bishop Manogue, a private school. So your own argument, private schools shouldn't be playing with us poor public schools, goes back to bite you, because Bishop Manogue is going to beat Spanish Springs this week, and then they're going to play the winner of Faith Lutheran, Green Valley, and they're going to smoke the winner of Faith Lutheran, Green Valley, and a private school team is going to win both of the divisions. And you've done nothing to address your problem other than letting Reno finally say it's got a state champion football team. Nothing from Minogue. Great program, great coaching over there. They do a phenomenal job. I just want to see them compete against Gorman or against Liberty. We know what's going to happen when they play Faith or Green Valley because they have the same advantages, arguably, that Gorman has here in Southern Nevada. And so, again, going back to my original point, realignment, it's working for some teams, right? We just look, Bonanza, El Dorado, Shap, they all played in November. It's cool, right? Getting to play in November is a cool thing. The time change, we fell back an hour in Las Vegas, right? It's getting dark during practice. It's colder. It's football weather. It's awesome. It's great that more teams are going to get to be a part of that, but it's kind of a disjustice when Gorman, the number one ranked team in the nation, right? If they win the Nevada championship, they're the mythical national champions, right? They're going to get a big ring. They're going to add to the wall over there of their national championships. And all Gorman got to do is they got to win 2 playoff games, right? They got to beat Coronado, who they beat in the regular season. And then, shout out to Coronado. They scored 2 touchdowns, though, right? Gorman with a 63-12 win or a 62-12. But all Gorman's got to do is they've got to play 8 quarters of football over 5 weeks to be the mythical national champions. Think about that. 8 quarters of football to be mythical national champions. And that's what realignment's done. There's no way. And the other thing, it's like, does everybody have to be able to compete for a state championship? Right? Could we admit that there are some teams that just aren't going to win state? And if you have a certain enrollment, you should be playing in the big division? Or do we have this awful tier system that you've got to remember when they created the tier system and when the NIAA first did its tier system with points and the rubric, and it was designed to help out the inner city poor Las Vegas schools that didn't have the resources. Like El Dorado and Valley and Shap, they were in the same league as Gorman and Liberty. Like Gorman was playing Western in a league game. Well, that couldn't have been. So they got together. They've got a formula that, again, no realignment's perfect, but they got a formula, and they thought they could protect the Westerns and the Shaps and the Valleys and the El Dorados. And what's happened is on Friday night, Palo Verde and Legacy, 2 schools that have strong enrollment, that have had good football seasons, are playing for the 5A Division III. Sorry, guys, I still got that cough. 5A Division III Southern title. And Centennial, which in 2019 lost in the state championship game on Friday night. They're playing in the Class 4A, one level lower. So Centennial, that has like the third highest enrollment in Clark County, is competing against Bonanza and Shap and Eldo for a state championship. I just don't see that. I don't like it. But that's my hot take on realignment for the year. I'm glad that all these teams are going to get to play at Allegiant Stadium. I just wish that there'd be a better solution other than finally caving into the North and letting McNogue go on a 5-year run of state championships against, Vegas teams. Because no offense to Faith Lutheran, Mike Sanford, former college coach, right? Defensive coordinator, former college coach. I mean, Mike Sanford's a former college head coach. I don't think they got the Jimmies and the Joes to beat Minogue. And I know Green Valley doesn't. No offense to my friends at Green Valley. I love those guys. But a few shout-outs before we get to the picks. Canyon Springs. I love the mentality of my buddy Quincy Burtz over at Canyon Springs. Talked to him Friday night. They're on a roll. They've won 3 games, like 130-15 over the last 3 weeks. When they lost to Sunrise Mountain to deny the Pioneers the regular season league championship. They're the state favorite. And I asked Quincy, I was like, hey, maybe a blessing in disguise that you guys, lost to Sunrise Mountain. It was an eye-opener. And he's like, he was telling me basically that that's a defeatist attitude, that winners and champions want to go undefeated. They don't want to lose. So forget about a blessing in disguise. They're upset that they lost to Sunrise Mountain and they want to avenge that loss. And I love that mentality. And it just goes to show you that I don't have that killer instinct that a high school football coach does. So shout out to Canyon Springs. Going to be a fun night, Friday night at Sunrise Mountain. Green Valley got its revenge against Basic. They lost the Henderson Bowl at the buzzer 3 or 4 weeks ago. They beat Basic to advance to the 5A Southern Regional Championship game, 5A Division II Southern Regional Championship game against Faith Lutheran. Faith Lutheran beat Foothill. So Basic, the 1 seed, loses. Foothill, the 2 seed, loses. And Faith, the 3rd seed, is hosting the championship game in the playoffs. Even better, Faith and Green Valley stay down next year, but Basic, based on its first place finish, Foothill, based on its second, gets elevated to the top. Bring on Gorman and Liberty for Basic and Foothill. But Faith and Green Valley playing for the right to go be a prop against Bishop McNogue, they get to stay in the lower level. So shout out to Coach Sanford. I love what he's doing over there. Really ran the rock well last week. Garrett Oden had a few long runs. Cade Breslin got it done. Of course, Cade Crittenton, the kicker, had like 3 field goals. The Crusaders now hosting the regional championship game against Green Valley, which, hey, they've won 3 games in a row. The Gators are 1.0-4. They're now 5-6, and they have a ton of confidence going into Summerlin for the championship game. Talk about a good season, second-year program. Somerset Losi, Coach Dan Barnson, my guy. They've won 10 games. They're 2 playoff games. They're fighting Centennial, who they lost to earlier in the season on Friday night. Should be a good game. Somerset has been one of the stories of the year. I mean, it's a second-year program. You look at some of the other charter schools that came on along when they did, Mater East, Cadence, or I guess Pinecrest. I don't know what they go by, but, those schools have all struggled, and it's been all systems a go for Somerset. Dan Barnson, he knows how to coach football. He's been doing it for a minute. And now the 3A. Moapa Valley put it to Boulder City. They advanced to the state semifinals yet again. Here's a really cool stat. Moapa Valley, since they moved to their new campus in 1993, has lost one total playoff game at home. So Moapa Valley, since 1993, has lost one playoff game. I'm holding one up in the air. One playoff game. Let me know if you know who beat them. Unfortunately for the Pirates, this week's playoff game on Saturday is against Truckee. It's in Tahoe, California. It's going to be snowing. Moapa cannot win there. They haven't won there. These are rivals. It seems like they play every year between the Pirates and Truckee. And it seems like Truckee has had the number of Moapa Valley. And you know me, I'm always trying to figure out why this year's going to be different, why the local team has got a chance. And looking at this Truckee team, mind you, they're the defending state champions. They're very, very good. You've got to give them that. They're 11-0. They haven't lost. Their closest game was 21-7 at home against Elko. Elko has got, in my opinion, one of the great players in the classification, the 3A, a big-time athlete, and I'm never going to be able to say his name, Eli Thillison. I'm sure everybody will correct me, but he's a great ball carrier, and they only lost 21-7 at Truckee. Truckee, like I said, is loaded. They haven't lost a game this year. They're 11-0, and I don't know if this is good or bad, but they're really slinging the ball around, throwing the rock. Quarterback Estabrook, as he's thrown for 15 touchdowns, 1,300 yards, and they've got a great wide receiver. Let me see if I can find this kid. Where is this kid? Yeah. Birnbaum, 90. Oh, this is a rusher. Birnbaum's a rusher. 90 carries, 925, 4 touchdowns. Receiving, he's also a stud receiver. 34 receptions, 704 yards, 9 tutties. So, best player on the field, guess who that is? Belongs to the guy from Truckee. The one thing is, I'm not a big fan of when it gets cold outside, having to rely on your passing game. I know Moapa Valley is going to try to run the rock, establish the running game, and make it physical. That's where they think they can control the clock a little bit. And maybe make a difference. Deegan Jones was great last week. He had 6 touchdowns against Boulder City. He's back. He's raring to go. Shadden Matheson has been, a bowling ball all year. 5'8", 160. Plays like he's 6 foot 200, though. A complete wrecking ball. We'll get to this in the picks, but what a tough cross to bear. If this game was at Moapa, I think it'd be a coin flip, but I hate teams having to travel in the cold up to northern Nevada, but all things seem right when Truckee and Moapa are playing each other in a meaningful football game. The next game it's a long time to talk without Case here. I really miss Case, guys. The next game in the 3A is Slam hosting Elko. Slam, which last year lost to Truckee in the state championship game. They got through Virgin Valley 28-21. Damian Neville had 3 touchdowns, 240 yards. They're playing Elko. Going to be a great game, again, because Elko's got a premier player in Filiason, whose name I'm saying wrong. But great semifinal. Favor the teams that don't have to travel simply because it's tough to travel at that age, especially going deep past Carson City for Moapa Valley. So going to be an absolute fun week of games. And I bet you guys want to know who I think is going to win. So we've got some picks. No Gorman Liberty. We'll save that till next week. But I bet you could guess whom I'm picking, right? I got to live up to my Gorman Homer mentality. Green Valley at Faith Lutheran. They played once before this season, 30-14 Faith. Faith kind of pulled away late. Faith has gotten better each week. Green Valley's gotten better each week. Green Valley's got a few guys that could go in Boyington and Glasper. We'll see what happens. Green Valley cannot turn the ball over like they did last week against Basic. Of course, taking Faith Lutheran, I think they're the better team. But we'll find out. I mean, Green Valley is hot, and they're confident. And I know they're looking at this game as, opportunity to make a statement, be the champions of the Las Vegas area. It's going to take Trey Glasper, Ben Binghamton, those guys to really establish themselves. Green Valley, if they're going to win, it's because they have better athletes. So get the ball to Theo, Trey, and Ben and see what happens if you're the Gators. But you cannot have the turnovers that you guys had last week if you want to stand a chance. I'm taking the Crusaders. Green Valley is the clear underdog in my opinion. Palo Verde Legacy. I'm going to take Palo. Furious Hoskins, best player on the field. I don't think they should have lost to Legacy the first time they played. I love Legacy. They're undefeated in the league. But Furious Hoskins, to me, is the real deal. They're going to be ready to go. They will not overlook Legacy this time. And I've got the Palo Verde Panthers getting it done. Canyon Springs, Sunrise Mountain. Tough to beat a team twice. Sunrise Mountain had beaten Canyon the first meeting. I actually picked Sunrise that day, but I'm switching my tune. I think Sunrise has Canyon's attention, and I think the Pioneers win and advance. They move on. Give me Canyon Springs. Next game, Somerset Losi against Centennial. Listen, Centennial just has too many players to lose this game. It's Bulldogs all the way. They've played already this year. Centennial gets the win. The Saturday games, the 3A, Moapa Truckee and Elko Slam. Taking Slam here, the local team, 1 p.m. kick. Tough travels for Elko. I think Slam's got better athletes. They can control the clock. I'll take Slam. And Truckee Moapa, I'm going with Truckee. It hurts me to say it, especially since I've proclaimed that Slam and Nevada was better than all of the northern teams, but it's no easy task to bus up there, to play in the snow. And Truckee looks like they could really move the ball. Looks like they got the best player on the field. I'll take Truckee. My last comment is, has anybody noticed the poor crowds at these high school games? $12 for a ticket to a high school game is ridiculous, NIAA. Nobody could afford it. Canyon Springs, Sunrise Mountain playing in the second round of the second week in November in the playoffs, and no family in those communities could afford $24 for mom and dad to go watch a high school game. There's going to be nobody in the crowd. High school sports is about creating community, giving kids a sense of belonging and teamwork, and they need to have their parents and their neighbors in the stands to cheer for them. It's what makes high school football great. And charging $12, you may be able to, even Liberty Shadow, two affluent schools, the crowd was awful last week. Now you're telling me that Sunrise Mountain, Canyon Springs have a chance to play in a meaningful game and mom and dad can't go watch it? I hate that. I should open a nonprofit where we raise money for high school sports tickets so mom and dad can watch their kids play, get that picture after the game, win or lose, maybe go get a pizza delivered to the house, a little $5 hot box from Little Caesars. That's what high school sports is about. It's about community and memories and being part of your family. So $12 is a complete joke. Everything's expensive in this world. I understand it. I go to the grocery store every weekend. But come on, to watch your kid play, you're not making, the NIAA doesn't need the money from Canyon Springs, Sunrise Mountain, in my humble opinion. Again, I need to start a nonprofit where you raise money for sports tickets. But my hot take at the end, I want to thank everybody for listening. Sorry about the coughing. I'm trying to get over this. I want to wish everybody safe travels if you're going up to Truckee or if you're Elko coming down to Vegas. And can't wait to get to Allegiant Stadium for Gorman Liberty, the game of all years. We should have just not even played a season and let them play 10 times. Best out of 10. So for Ray, I'm Ray, and Case isn't here, but I love him. He's my brother. He's busy covering the Raiders and the Knights. You guys have a great week.